I was her shadow, always there, always unnoticed. For 2 years, I was the one who held Clara's world together while she danced in the glow of her own ambition. She called me her rock, her safe place, but those words lost their meaning the night she turned away from me without a second glance. It was her gallery opening, a night she'd been dreaming of since we met. The room buzzed with art collectors, critics, and strangers in tailored suits, their voices blending into a hum of praise for her paintings. Clara stood in the center, her red dress catching the light like fire, her laughter bright and sharp. I stood by the door, holding her coat, her phone, her keys, things she'd handed me without a word as she stepped into her spotlight. I didn't mind. I never minded. I loved her enough to carry the weight of her world. We met at a flea market of all places. I was there, sketching in a notebook, trying to capture the chaos of the crowd. She was haggling over a vintage frame, her voice firm but warm, her hands gesturing wildly. When the vendor tried to overcharge her, I stepped in, quietly pointing out the frame's flaws. She looked at me, surprised, then grinned. "You're good at seeing things others miss," she said. That was the start. That was when I thought. She saw me too. For the first year, it felt like we were building something real. Clara was a painter, her canvases bold and chaotic, full of colors that didn't make sense until you stepped back. I wasn't an artist, not like her. I was a restorer, someone who fixed broken things, furniture, books, the occasional cracked frame. She said my hands were magic, that I could bring anything back to life. I spent hours in her studio, sanding wood while she painted, her music filling the air. I'd bring her coffee when she forgot to eat, hang lights when her exhibitions ran late, drive her to every meeting when her car broke down. I didn't do it for praise. I did it because her dreams felt like mine too, but dreams change. Or maybe they just reveal what was always there. Clara's gallery openings grew bigger. Her name started appearing in articles, and I started fading into the background. She'd forget to tell me about her shows until the last minute. She'd cancel our plans for quick meetings with curators who lingered too long, their hands brushing hers as they talked about her vision. I told myself it was her moment, that I was being selfish to want more of her time. But then there was Ethan. Ethan was a critic, the kind of man who spoke in absolutes, his words sharp enough to cut through a room. Clara used to mock him, said his reviews were pretentious, his ego unbearable. But somewhere along the way, his name stopped being a joke. She'd mention him casually. Ethan suggested this gallery. Ethan connected me with that buyer, and I'd feel the ground shift beneath me. I asked her once, carefully, if there was something I should know. She rolled her eyes. "Don't be paranoid, James. He's just a contact." I believed her because I wanted to. The night of the gallery opening, I stood by the door, watching her move through the crowd. Ethan was there, of course, his suit too perfect, his smile too practiced. When Clara raised her glass for a toast, she thanked the gallery owner, her mentor, her team. Then she paused, her eyes landing on Ethan. "And to someone who's been a game changer for me," she said, her voice soft but deliberate. The crowd clapped. I waited for her to look my way, to say something, anything. She didn't. A woman nearby, holding a champagne flute, glanced at me. "Who's that guy by the door?" she asked, loud enough for others to hear. Clara's eyes flicked to me, and for a moment I thought I saw something. Regret, maybe. But then she smiled, casual, dismissive. "Oh, him? He's just helping out tonight." The words landed like a punch I didn't see coming. Just helping out. 2 years of carrying her dreams, her fears, her late-night doubts, and I was just helping out. I didn't flinch. I didn't move. I just nodded, like it was nothing, like the ring in my pocket wasn't burning a hole through my chest. I'd planned to propose that night, after the crowd left, under the string lights she loved. I'd even asked the caterer to save her favorite dessert, a lemon tart, for the moment. But as she laughed with Ethan, her hand on his arm, I realized the moment wasn't mine anymore. It never had been. I slipped out to the rooftop, the city sprawling below, lights blinking like they were trying to tell me something. The ring sat, heavy in my hand, a simple band with a single sapphire, her favorite stone. I'd spent months saving for it, months imagining a future where I was more than her shadow. The wind was cold, sharper than I expected, but it felt honest. I stood there, turning the ring over, wondering how I'd missed the signs, the missed calls, the half-hearted apologies, the way she stopped asking about my day. I'd been so busy, fixing her world, I hadn't noticed mine was falling apart. That's when Nora appeared. She was one of Clara's friends, quiet, always watching from the edges like me. She'd been at the gallery all night, arranging flowers, adjusting frames, unnoticed by the crowd. She stepped onto the rooftop, her coat pulled tight against the chill. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. I didn't answer, right away. I just held up the ring. She looked at it, then at me, her eyes saying everything her words didn't. "She doesn't deserve it," Nora said finally. I gave a bitter laugh. 2 years, Nora. 2 years of thinking I was enough. She stepped closer. "You were always enough. She just didn't know how to see it." I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. Nora, who'd always been there, who'd laughed at my bad jokes, who'd stayed late to help me, clean up after Clara's events, who'd never asked for anything in return. "Why do we keep holding on to people who don't hold us back?" I asked. She shrugged, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Because love makes us stubborn, but it doesn't make us invisible." I exhaled, the weight in my chest loosening, just a fraction. "What if I gave this to you instead?" I said, half joking, half serious, the words spilling out before I could stop them. Her eyes widened, but she didn't laugh. "James," she said, "don't give me something you're not ready to mean." I nodded, closing my hand around the ring. Fair enough. Inside, the party continued, Clara's laughter floating through the glass doors. I didn't go back in. I didn't need to. I walked down the fire escape, the ring still in my pocket, and drove home. The city felt quieter that night, like it was holding its breath for me. I didn't sleep. I sat at my workbench, surrounded by half-finished projects, chairs I'd been restoring, a table I'd been sanding for weeks. I picked up a chisel and started working, the rhythm of it grounding me. By morning, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to be Clara's shadow anymore. I was going to be my own light. Weeks passed and Clara didn't call, didn't text. I heard through mutual friends that she and Ethan were something, though no one could define what. I didn't care. I started taking on my own projects, restoring antique pieces for clients who saw my work, not just Clara's. Nora started showing up more, not as a replacement, but as herself. Quiet, steady, real. We'd sit in my workshop, her sketching while I worked, the silence between us comfortable, not heavy. She didn't ask about Clara, and I didn't bring her up. Then, one evening, Clara showed up at my door. She looked smaller than I remembered, her eyes tired, her hands fidgeting with the strap of her bag. "James," she said, "can we talk?" I let her in, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to know what was left to say. She sat on the edge of my couch, her gaze darting around the room like she was looking for traces of the life we used to share. "I messed up," she said. "I got caught up in the attention, the success. I didn't see what I had until it was gone." I didn't respond. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small painting, one she'd made early in our relationship. A quiet scene of a man sitting alone, his back to the world. "This was you," she said. "I painted this because you made me feel safe. I forgot that." I looked at the painting, then at her. "You didn't forget, Clara. You chose to walk away. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't feel the pull to comfort her. Not anymore. I thought you'd always be there, she whispered. That was the problem, I said. You thought I'd wait forever. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Do you love her? Nora? I didn't answer right. Away. I'm learning what love can be, I said finally. It's not about carrying someone else's world. It's about building one together. She left the painting behind when she walked out. I didn't hang it up. I didn't throw it away either. I just set it in a corner, a reminder of who I'd been and who I was becoming. Nora came over the next day bringing coffee and a new sketchbook. She didn't ask about Clara, but I told her anyway. She came by, I said. She wanted to fix things. Nora looked at me, her expression calm. And? I smiled, small but real. I don't need fixing anymore. She reached for my hand, her fingers warm against mine. Good, she said. Because you're already whole. Months later, I heard Clara had moved to a new city, chasing another gallery, another dream. I didn't feel anger or sadness, just a quiet relief. I didn't need her to hurt for me to heal. I was already doing that, one day at a time, with Nora by my side, with my own work filling my hands, with a heart that was finally learning to beat for itself.